I think I fixed it, guys. I think I fixed it. I figured it out. This Unk might have finally figured it out. Or he might be wrong. He might be totally wrong again. He might be totally wrong. Let's see if he's wrong. Let's see if he's wrong. Let's see if he's wrong. Alright. Sup, Asian movement? How's it going? You're gonna get some fun here because I didn't eat my dinner yet, so you're gonna just watch me mukbang that shit. Thank you, David Tay. How's the stream, guys? I think it's back to normal, but let me know if I'm wrong about that. I think I fixed it. I think I figured it out. I'm not 100% sure about that. I think let's talk about the KTSC drama. All right, I think I basically fixed it by clearing out my whatchamacallit, my hard drive space. Let's just wait for a few people again, and while I'm waiting, I'm gonna eat a little bit because I haven't eaten. You guys get to watch me mukbang myself again. Been a while. Been a while since y'all saw me. Saw me last time. I've been away in New York. Some big announcements, maybe. I don't know. Throwing a big announcement. Well, let's wait till some people get here. I might get into some of that Asian movement. Sup, Core 6 Beaver. Checking in SAR. Everyone checking the SARS. No, I don't have a girlfriend. Can I talk about the Chinese girl being a scam? I guess I can talk about that. I mean, I kind of assigned like a, in the back of my mind, there was always like a 20% chance or so that it was a scam the entire time. I am eating. So there's this place near UCLA. It's called Enzo's Pizzeria. I get chicken parm with penne pasta. And I got a salad with house salad with Italian dressing. Actually, it's kind of fitting for some news I'm gonna possibly share. I mean, I'm not even like 100% set on this yet, but you know, I'm just gonna wait some people to get in. Oh, did you just watch Dexter recently? Oh, David Tate, yeah. Well, I always introduce David Tate to shit. And he's always like, yeah, I don't know if I want to like that. You know, I saw the first one, and it was like gory, and I was like, shut the fuck up. You're gonna watch what I tell you to watch, and you're gonna fucking like it. I would say just read the description. Don't even read Original Sin. I don't think that's supposed to be good. I don't know. God damn it. There's gotta be a way to like disable the tracker thing. Ozark is okay. It's kind of like diet Breaking Bad, you know? That's what I think of Ozark. It's like diet Breaking Bad. With Jason Bateman. I actually met an actress on that show. I think she plays like some hooker or something. It was like at some like film camp that I met her for like actors and shit. They killed off L. Oh, you think the old man's L? You didn't think Dokes was L? Dokes had a much more personal relationship with Dexter, and he actually figured it out. Your old man, the old man, never figured it out. Lundy never figured it out. Or if he did figure it out, he didn't make it apparent. You can't get into breaking. How dare you? How dare you? Even if you thought that, how dare you say that on this stream? How dare you? Just kidding. Man, where is everyone? It's only 7 people watching. Come on, man. You take Thanksgiving off. You take Thanksgiving week off, and people just abandon ship, huh? Is that how it goes? All right. Well, I'll give the early people a scoop on the Hong Kong girl. Apparently, it's a well-known scam, which is kind of how I found out about it too. The moment I matched, or not matched, but like the moment she like kind of reached out and shit, I already was kind of like, this is a scam probably, but I'm gonna see where it goes. I'm gonna see how long the scam takes. And it was like kind of believable, I was kind of like hopeful a little bit. But I did all this stuff in the beginning to see if it was a scam. Like I took her pictures, reverse Google search, none of them came up in anyone. So I was like, oh, maybe this is an actual person. But, in the back of my mind, I'm just kind of like, all right, let's see where this goes. Maybe it's not a scam. If it's not a scam, then it's great. But I'm not going to, like, fucking go all in until, first thing is, like, I was never going to travel to China or Hong Kong or whatever, unless I got a video conversation first, right? That's the fucking thing that you need, first of all. As like enough of a commitment. And even then, that's just like level 1 of just like verification, right? 2-factor authentication, that's like the first factor, right? But I like to get carried away. I like to run with it. At least like the fantasies in my mind. They always say there's a dual nature to man. There's your heart and your mind. Sometimes your heart is just like running away with shit. But in the back of my mind, I'm just like, there's always the rational. I mean, if you guys know me by now, there's always a cynical side to my brain that's like, this shit ain't real. This is a fucking scam. I also tend to think of reality in like probabilities. And the entire time, probabilities were fluctuating throughout. It was just kind of like, and so the one weird thing happened kind of like a few weeks in. Maybe like a weekend. When she asked me something, or she said something about like cryptocurrency. And then I was like, when she said something about cryptocurrency, I was like, yeah, I never told you about it, David, because I didn't think it was actually a thing. I wanted to kind of like see how it played out. So obviously I'm not going to like tell you shit about something that's actually real. Not real yet, right? I wanted to see how it play out. I just kind of like shared it on stream because I was just like fucking around one day. But anyway, when she asked me about this crypto thing, or she said something about the markets or something, and then I was like, did you mean to send this to me? This seems like a little out of place. I don't know what's tracking me. And she was like, "Oh yeah, I like to keep up with the markets and invest and blah blah blah." I was like, "Okay, whatever." And then we kind of talked about tech stocks and technology companies a little bit, whatever. But so that was in the back of my mind, and I was just already, I was just kind of like, all right, I gotta see what's going on here. And then like, we're still talking, whatever, and then she says something again about like markets or cryptocurrency or some shit. And then at this point, I'm like, all right, I need a full scale investigation now. I need to pull my platinum package private investigation file on this bitch. And so I do a more like reverse searches on all of her pictures now, and I don't get an exact match, but I now do reverse search on Chinese like Baidu, right? I figure out what the reverse search shit is on Baidu. And then I don't get an exact match, but I get like kind of like these stock photos that look very similar to what she's. What the fuck? Come on, man. I get stock photos that are very similar to like her poses and all this shit, like models posing in this way, like for like bathing suits or some shit, or like I guess like some of the beach equipment. I don't know, fucking, they look like advertisement photos. And then I'm kind of like, is this AI? Maybe they're using AI because that's the reason they don't fucking reverse search the reverse search, because that's the typical thing, right? And if you reverse search, you'll typically find a person's photo and you'll be like, oh yeah, that's a catfish, right? But now I'm like, oh, they're using AI, and and then I'm doing more research, looking up like Chinese scam, love scam, whatever. And then I basically find the whole play, right? They basically try to target people who they think are probably, at least somewhat wealthy or wealthy enough to scam. And they do that kind of like, I guess they've perfected the art of this scam of like trying to make you think that they're into you or whatever, but like not too much so it's not obvious, right? They kind of like try to make it more believable, right? So the scam more works. It's not like they're over fucking obsequious or whatever, and they kind of like there's a little bit of banter here and there. So it's kind of like, okay, I think if they call it like gutting a pig or something, like pig scam, or I don't know how what it's called. Anyway, it's not matched. It's we met on Red Note, and she had commented on my post or whatever, and we started chatting on Red Note. So then when I found all that out, I was like, yeah, this is a scam, and so I blocked her and didn't talk to her again. So yeah, that's the story. Sorry, it's not that exciting, but for the earlier people, yeah, exactly. It's a pitch butchering scam. I think that's what it's called, Andrew. But you know what? Oh shit! All right, I gotta hold on a second. I gotta clean off my floor. Ah. Good enough. I dropped my knife. I'll have to clean that up later. Anyway, that was like, I think that was like a month ago. Yeah, I didn't share it because I was just like, it was kind of dumb. I wasn't even like that into it to begin with because, like, as I said before, there was always a probability in my mind of like it not being real. Let me see the comments. Hello, Sar. Sup, holy cow. Everyone noticed I think the stream is better. I kind of backdoored into this solution, actually. Basically, I was shooting and editing the Breaking Bad essay video that I've been working on, and because of that, I was like running out of hard drive space, and so I ordered a new kind of like hard drive, like external to work off of, and moving all my files there. And as I'm doing that, I'm also kind of cleaning up my own like desktop hard drive space. And then I noticed like I got rid of a lot of bullshit, and then my computer started going really fast again. It was pretty laggy overall. And I forgot that if you're kind of maxing out your hard drive space, you kind of slow shit down a lot. So I was like, oh, okay. That's probably why the stream was really fucking slowing down the entire time. Anyway. That's why the stream is probably better. That's why it doesn't look like I'm fucking Mossad body. I guess I was paranoid the entire time. That first guy, though, that came into my stream and fucking went all crazy. That was definitely a Mossad agent. You have very nice skin from that close up. Thank you, Course Beefer. Scammers using AI to make girls... Oh, yeah. Exactly. Should look up scams on Red Note. Blocked her. Yep. Shazu Pan is what it's called. Stream is still shot. Well, we can't all win at life, I guess. Oh well. At least it wasn't as choppy as before. I think it was like terrible. Sup, D Wallace. I was just telling them how Hong Kong Girl was a scam, AI scam. Apparently it's this new thing that's running now on Chinese social media. I'm also, for those who are just joining, I'm mukbanging chicken parmesan because I didn't eat yet. But I wanted to start the stream on time. So that's why I'm eating. Trying to finish this as fast as possible so I don't have to do this the whole time. Well, yeah. Speaking of the Breaking Bad project, I know I said I wanted to do it before Thanksgiving, and obviously that didn't happen. But I am making good progress now. I'm probably like 60 to 70% done. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to try to hyperdrive the Better Call Saul, the second part. So that's where that project's at. So rest assured, I should at least get part 1 down before the end of the year. That one I can pretty much guarantee. It's December 4th now. I'm here till the 23rd, so I'll have a lot of time to edit shit, and I've been kind of going hardcore. What has been kind of slowing me down, unfortunately, is I don't know if I mentioned this, but I am now convinced I'm going to quit weed long term. I think I did mention this because like apparently you can kind of get superpowers. So I've done tolerance breaks in the past 5 years, like 1 or 2 times, but I don't think I've like consciously been like, all right, now I'm stopping for good. And because of that, now I'm day 24 of no weed. And I'm kind of like using AI to help me guide through like what's going on with my body through these different stages of withdrawal. And I'm actually learning a lot about like the body and physiology and all this shit. It's actually pretty interesting. But one thing you don't know is that like apparently week or like day 18 to 35 is kind of actually this weird sleeper stage where you feel like shit. And most people relapse during this time. Because what happens is, so immediately after you stop, the first thing that happens is in the first few days, your THC levels go all the way down, right? Like by day 3 or 4, they're all the way kind of down. And you sort of get like insomnia and whatever. And you're like, oh man, this kind of sucks, right? And your body is redeveloping its own CB1 receptors and kind of be like, oh, we got to make some shit. So it's kind of like your body is rebooting, or your gut is rebooting those CB1 production. Like CB1 is like your natural cannabinoid stuff for the neurotransmitters and different kinds of shit to function. Anyway, once that's kind of like going, your cortisol levels also go up, because like it's kind of like dealing with the stress of not having that stuff and kind of giving you an extra boost to kind of like anesthetize you to certain things that are going on. And then in the second week, most of that initial CB1 kind of like starts to go, but then now your gut is kind of like trying to rejigger itself, because a lot of processes have kind of been sleep dormant for a long time. So now it's trying to do it regularly. So in the week 2, that's when your gastrointestinal system is sort of kind of like coming back online, so to speak. And you're like really constipated that week and shit. It's not really fun, actually. And you can do stuff to actually to help that. You can kind of run and move around a lot. If you do a lot of physical activity, that can kind of like help your gut recharge faster. So then by around week 2, there's a few days where you're feeling good, actually. You're like, okay, now my gut's back together, kind of. You know, I'm feeling better about life. I don't feel like shit anymore. And so this is what gets most people. They're like, oh, it's over now. That was the withdrawal period. It was over. You know, and now I feel fine. I feel okay, you know. I didn't feel like the super high thing, right? But I felt like, okay, I feel like things are going to be fine now. But around day 18 or so, or days, you know, a few days after that week 2, now that REM sleep you've been suppressing for years, now that's starting to come back, and your REM sleep debt is starting to be like, you need to pay that shit off. You need to pay that shit. So you start getting like these dreams at night. You can't really like go into deep sleep. You're just getting REM sleep the entire time. And now your cortisol levels are coming back down because your body's like, oh, okay, everything's back to normal, kind of. So your cortisol is kind of coming down. And so cortisol is kind of like the fight or flight neurochemical. You know, it kind of gives you an extra boost of energy and whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's like the stress hormone, I think. I'm not a doctor, so someone probably knows better than me, I'm sure. But it's kind of like the thing that you need to like get over shit when threats are coming at you. When lion is coming to eat you, you need to run faster, you know, whatever. So the cortisol just like fucking like, it's like your natural, you know, with your adrenaline, it's kind of like, you know, it numbs certain things or whatever. But then when it drops down and you're not getting deep sleep, now all that kind of like muscle soreness and shit, whatever, that you didn't really pay attention to because you were on weed the entire time, and the weed kind of masks all that shit. You're like, oh God, body sore, I didn't get good sleep. I feel like groggy and shit. What the fuck is going on? I thought I was all better. So that was going on pretty much from day 18 to the 28th in the past week. And yeah, during that time, you're sleeping better than the first week, because like first week sometimes you're insomnia and all that shit. But the sleep, while you are getting better sleep, there's not deep sleep in it. It's all REM sleep. So you're like your thoughts are racing while you're sleeping, but you're not getting that like deep long wave sleep that recovers your body during the day. And then throughout the day, you're just kind of feeling almost like bouts of narcolepsy where you're like, I need to take a 30-minute nap right now or I cannot function. So that's kind of been the week that I've been doing editing videos. And you know, David Tate can even tell you about this. I couldn't like concentrate for more than an hour or two a day, kind of like trying to edit. And editing isn't that. And I didn't even have my fucking mouse with me. I forgot my fucking mouse. Because I missed my flight and that's a whole other fucking story. But I didn't have my mouse with me, and editing on a laptop with the fucking trackpad, it's annoying as fuck. So to do that while your fucking brain is on like empty all the time, it was just like, ugh. And so I'm sort of near the end of that, I think. It's day 24. Officially, I should be mostly done with all the withdrawal stuff by 35, and then that's when I start to get to higher baseline mode. But yeah, that's kind of like why I haven't finished the Breaking Bad stuff, even though, I feel like if I was at like normal mode, I would have finished that by now. But good things take time, I guess. Why just tell me to fucking stay put? There we go. All right, stream is a little choppy. Oh, well, all right, read that. How was Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving was good. I just it was just a small one at my parents' place. We don't even do turkey anymore. And next year I'm just gonna buy everything, because I feel like the cost of just buying everything and is worth is worth it to not have the stress of my mom affect all of us for that weekend. Yeah, that was my Thanksgiving. Nothing too much. As I told you guys, I was hanging out with David Tay. We watched the first season of Dexter. He had this stupid thing where we had to fucking watch advertisements. I don't know why we fucking did that. But yeah, I was editing my stuff. We went to a burger place called, what was it called, David? What was it? It was somewhere in the East Village, I think. Anyway, David can tell you. It was pretty good. Then we went to Katz's. I mean, it's not like a new place, but I just wanted kind of an OG. I wanted an OG place, New York, because that's the big announcement, guys. I think I'm finally moving back to New York. I actually did write a blog post about it, but I didn't post about the blog post. Kind of low key about it, because I'm like 80% sure, but I'm not like 100% committed. There are some things that can make it 100% for sure, but they haven't happened yet, so I don't want to like be like, oh my god, I'm going back for sure. Here's a blog post I wrote If you guys are interested in my emo existentialism. But that's kind of like, I mean, the biggest factor, it's kind of also related to Thanksgiving. I think, my parents being their age and where they're at. And, my sister was living in New York for the longest time until like around 2018. And then she moved to San Francisco. And so it's kind of been just, I mean, it's not like they're all by themselves. They hang out with a bunch of church friends all the time, whatever. But I don't know. I just think I think at this age, you don't know what's going to happen, right? There's been a lot of deaths going on in my life. And so just kind of makes you think. And so that's like kind of like the biggest reason. The other thing is like, I know I talk about and joke about leaving to Asia all the time. But I kind of thought about it too. And I was like, there's always going to be a part of me that's going to be like, needing to put on the cape and cowl, Like, I think I probably said this before, but say I moved to like Hanoi, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. I'm in this lively place. Communism is everywhere. I can just hop over to China anytime I want. And, and I won't have to talk about communism because guess what? They already got it, right? I can just, whenever I go on Twitter, I can be like Zoe Deshay, right? Just trolling people about how barbaric they are. Because they're not in communism. But then I realized, at the end of the day, it would definitely be better for my mental health, that's for sure. Definitely be better for my mental health. But at the end of the day, I think I would get bored. I would feel like, man, it's no fun when everyone's agreeing with you. It's no fun when there's when Batman isn't needed. It's like Bruce Wayne going to, Cancun and living there forever. I get like, yeah. I guess that's what happens at the end of Dark Knight Rises. He just goes to Paris and then like toasts Alfred in the back, right? But we all know he's not staying there, right? Batman ain't staying in fucking Paris. And the last thing is just, well, not the last thing, but when I stepped off the plane this time around, so usually when I get off the plane, either at JFK or sometimes more EWR these days, I just take an Uber and then go to my parents' place. This time around, because of the whole flight thing that I missed, I was like, well, I burned all this cash going there, so let me just fucking use public transportation, maybe save $100 that way. So I took JFK to the air train to Jamaica, and then Jamaica to Penn Station. Walked over from Penn Station to Grand Central, which is 34th and 8th, I think. 34th and 8th to 42nd and Park, or Lexington, something like that. So that's like 8 blocks north and like 4 or 5 avenues. So that's actually kind of like it's like a mile stretch, I think I walked. But in between there, I also got pizza a slice of pizza, a New York pizza, a joint, one of those joints. Uh, walk past the New York Public Library on 42nd, or it was more like 38th and 6th. And, you know, it just felt like it was time, It's time to come home. Because at the end of the day, New York is kind of like, I mean, not the city, right? I was born in the Westchester and grew up in Westchester. But I was like, it's time, I just felt it in my bones. It's not like I have Radio Korea to go to anymore. But other than that, there's just like nothing. I came to LA originally to be in media, right? I wanted to be an actor or something in the film industry. And then I left in 2020 when all the shit was going down because I didn't know what was going to happen with the election and everything. Decided to try to make it work in New York in 2021. But then that didn't work out because of various reasons. But, one of the biggest ones was that COVID was still happening. So it felt like claustrophobic because I was living in my parents' place, which is like a 450 square foot studio in New York, which is amazing when everything's open, but it feels like a literal jail cell in the center of capitalism when COVID's happening. And COVID happened on top of all these fucking anti-Asian hate crimes. So not only was COVID restricting me from going outside, any fucking random could hate crime you at any moment. You're like, oh God, this is terrible. Fucking feels like the whole island of Manhattan is like Rikers for Asians, So I came back to LA later that year in 2021. Kind of settled in, and kind of like tried to make the media stuff work. Trying to, like for example, soon after that in 2022, that's when I made that documentary, right, for Radio Korea. So after that, after making appearances on Culture Shock on Radio Korea in 2023 and stuff, I was like, okay, maybe I should like kind of stick around in LA. Maybe I should like try to influence the local LA people, local Koreans. Maybe like I can start a movement here, blah, blah, blah. And then when the ACP started, I started to join, obviously the California cell. So I was like, okay, maybe I should plant my roots here. Maybe things are starting to happen. But then, as you know, all that drama with KTSC happened, and it's not like the ACP doesn't have a New York branch. They do. So I could easily just kind of like move over there. Then I'm working with some people now also on like media projects in LA. But the landscape of LA has changed where you don't have to be in LA to like work with people anymore. You can work remotely, like with meetings and all that stuff. And so just like, emotionally, logistically, familially, all the leads kind of started to align. And I think part of the reason I don't like change is because I'm stubborn and I don't like being wrong, even though about my own life. It almost feels like, oh, I'm only going back to New York because I'm like, coming back with my tail tucked between my legs, right? Like I'm only coming back because I failed, But I think also being off weed gave me a little bit of clarity on that as well. Kind of like just a lot of easier self introspection when you have that fog lifted. And I've been reading about Marx and Lenin as well recently, the past few months. And Marx spent the last half of his life in London, right, writing Capital. Lenin spent a bunch of years in London. He actually wrote What Is to Be Done, I think, in the same library that Marx worked out of. So, when I laughed last time in 2021, part of the reason was like, oh God, I'm in the center of Capital. I had just watched American Psycho, and I had also taken shrooms later, soon afterwards. And I had this like terrible existential crisis again. As always, I always have existential crises. I was just like thinking, oh God, what am I doing in the center of Capital? This is terrible. But that's also where the fight is, right? That's all. That's also where the people are, right? And there are also the Chinatown people. I've made connections with Chinatown people of the past few years too. And I feel like they're the closest Asian Americans that are working class that I have genuine like connection with, In LA I feel like there's just way too much LARP here. This is not a real city. And SF, I did connect with some people, but SF was never going to be my city either. And so, with all that in mind, that's just kind of like, when I was walking down 34th Street, right? Going east on 34th. It was a gray ass day, cloudy as fuck, right? And I was like, this is what I miss. I don't miss this fucking Twilight Zone, 300 days, 330 days a year of fucking sunshine. That shit's for the birds. That shit's for the people who want to stay in the Matrix. I want the dreary ass fucking, shit that I've been accustomed to. It hardens you, The shit that builds character. The negative dialectic of nature just beating down on your ass. And forcing you to wake up. Be like, there's capitalism to conquer. As I drink my capitalism Coke. So that's kind of like where I landed on. And, I haven't figured out all the logistics yet, but I'm targeting somewhat of a fall comeback. So it wouldn't be immediate. Ideally, it would probably be after summer. Like September 1st-ish. That would be what I'm targeting right now. But yeah. The other thing is I just realized LA, like the stereotypes are kind of true, Great weather and all. But the people are fake as fuck. And you kind of hear that. You kind of hear that all the time, right? It's Hollywood, right? Obviously, right? I guess I was the idiot that thought I could change Hollywood, but you know, I think the opposite happened. I became a pothead. The Matrix got me, guys. The Matrix got me. And now I'm trying to, not trying, I'm going to quit. I also, just planning to get the fuck back out of the Matrix. And the other thing is like Lennon said, should actually. So I don't actually regret, my time in LA at all. I think I needed to come here to figure all this out. I needed that dialectic, right? Nobody figures shit out. Nobody has everything figured out their entire life, right? That's why you go through life, to figure shit out. And I don't even regret coming back the second time. I think I needed that time too to figure shit out. But it's just kind of like, you just feel like, it's time. It's time to come back. So, sorry for that long-winded explanation, but that's what it is. I'm trying to fucking stabilize that. All right, let me see some of the comments. All right. On Lions Bar on First Avenue, I've been there. Yeah, Lions Bar. Wait, Course, do you live in Course 6B, or do you live in New York? Oh, gonna have to try the linguine there. Sup, illustrious media? How's it going? Surprised the linguine was legit. Martini and Negroni. Is everyone a New Yorker here? Now you're in New York. Doom, dum, 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 dum. I've been watching the the Diddy documentary. Holy shit, man. Holy shit. I'm going to talk about that once I'm done with the whole thing. That has to do more with the Kanye essay that I'm planning to do. Oh, man. I got so much fucking content in the new year that's coming, guys. This 2025 was me reading the fucking content. This is me reading. 2026 is going to be me fucking spewing content left and fucking right. I'm still going to try to read, though. Oh, God. It's so much to do. That's why I'm fucking quitting weed. I got to get that extra brain power back. Oh, God, there was Fung Bros. There was a lot of Fung Bros drama, guys. Man, there's a lot to talk about. David Tay found some Fung Bros, brother. Fung Bros gossip. Oh, you already talked about it. New York, baby. One of the Fung was. Oh, man. It's in the Asian Snark Reddit site. Yeah. So David Tay introduced me to some interesting subreddit called, I think it was like Asian American YT Snark. I think it means YouTube Snark. I'm not sure. Like snark about YouTube Asian American celebrities, Fung Brothers, etc. There's Radio Korea in Queens. Wait, is that related to the LA Radio Korea? Or is that just like a separate thing? Sup, man, Newag 3886. I don't think I've seen you before, but See Me Lose recent crash out is straight out of 2005. Shaking my head. Still haven't realized that if you want quality Asian representation, you need to build your own media companies. And I'm gonna, man, there's a lot to talk about here. All right, See Me Live things seem bad for Where are you looking to live when you move back? So, I'm not going to tell you the exact thing because I don't want to dox myself, but there is my parents do have a place in the city. That's all I'll say. Again, I don't want to dox myself. So I'll be living in New York City proper. I guess it's on the island of Manhattan. I'll give you that amount of detail, I guess. But that's where I'll be. I'll be in New York. He really does. He can't get out of the actor mindset as opposed to creative entrepreneur mindset. Dougley, meet and greet NYC. Hey, why not, right? I can do it in meet and greet in NYC. Just don't kill me, please. Perhaps maybe consider 168th Street. No, I don't want to live in like Columbia Medical School land or the Heights. No, I live in Durham, but I grew up in New York City and my family's still there. I'm in Cali too. I live in Charleroi, Belgium. I don't know where that is. I know where Belgium is, I think, but I don't know what Charleroi is. Oh, the ugliest city in Europe. Great. Me and wifey gonna watch the Diddy doc. Yo, Diddy doc. Diddy is It was produced by one Curtis Johnson. That's interesting. I feel like the talented rappers or the real ones, they're all on the spectrum, you know? You know, cuz 50 Cent, guess who discovered 50 Cent? It was Eminem, right? Eminem discovered 50 Cent. He saw that shit. And Tupac, right? He was already he's on some spectrum, let's just say that. And Biggie, he copied a lot of, they copied a lot of his style. And, Diddy, everyone knew he was not talented, like, as a rapper. Nobody fucking thought he was, doing anything with music. Everyone knew, even without the fucking controversies, that he was just riding the fucking Biggie train. But yeah. Doug is all over the David Kim. Who's David Kim again? Oh yeah, David Kim, Ed, Ryan U drama. Well, Ryan U drama has to do with me because he's a fucking retard who can't get over. He can't get over how he fucking torched him 5 years ago. This is 5 years ago. This is a grown ass man being obsessed with me for the past 5 fucking years. Cause how I fucking trashed his ass. Like the fucking retard that he is. And he just can't go to, it's just like, take the L, man. Take the L, man. I mean, I have even now, you know how pathetic Ryan Yu is? Like, I now have somewhat of respect for Teen. Now, that's how pathetic he is. Because Teen tried it a few times and then realized, yeah, maybe I shouldn't poke the bear anymore. And I don't think he's said anything for the past few years. So I'm like, you know what, Teen? Good for you. I'm not going to fucking, you don't fucking step on my toes. I'm not going to step on yours. Okay, so that's fine. I mean, maybe I did a little bit with the Trotsky files. But that's more to fuck Zhang Yu up because he's a piece of shit. Anyway, he hasn't directly, I don't think. I don't know. I don't really check his shit anymore because it's not interesting. He never really was interesting. But I'm like, good for you, Teen. You learned your lesson. But this guy, this Ryan Yu guy, there's no lessons to be learned here. And I'm just kind of like, I kind of like, I've had it on mute for years, right? So there's all these times when it's just like fucking commenting on my thing and I don't even know what's going on. And then I think, how did I find out about this? I think like sometimes when he like fucking like quote tweets me or something like that, somebody responds under it and then like it shows under my notifications and I'm like, all right, little bitch. I'm feeling bored today. I feel like little. Like, yes, I know the key with fucking narcissists, obvious NPDs, is to not give them any attention at all, and that's their kryptonite. But I was like, I got time. So, whatever. Some of you might have seen what happened on the team timeline, whatever. I'm not going to rehash that, but then he poked Ed Choi for no reason, yeah, not a smart thing to, poke someone who has 500, 600,000 followers. If your whole thing is trying to make a brand for yourself and be this weirdo like person who thinks so highly, it's like its insecurity is so fucking obvious. Jesus. It's like, bro, get a fucking therapist and like make up your fucking daddy issues with your daddy, your actual daddy, because clearly there's a lot going on there, and well, you're not hanging around your kid much because you're all cavorting around fucking Las Vegas or all whatever you're playing all year, thinking you're some sort of professional. I mean, whatever. But it's just kind of like, bro, move on. Everyone has moved on. Nobody. It's so funny because he's like trying to think like it's 2021 when, yeah, all of Asian Twitter was hating on me, and 2022 and all of Asian Twitter was hating on me. So yeah, you could get an easy dunk here and there and get all your likes by shitting on me because like everyone hated me back then. Good job. Yeah. You got me with your digs because everyone hated me back then. But now and then, most of those people have either left Twitter, don't like you, and or my positions were basically proven correct the entire time. So I don't know what you're trying to do, like bringing these like fucking 2022 points back, and I'm just 2021 points back as if they're gonna work, and I'm just kind of like, this is. It's like watching, I don't know. It's like watching a retarded person try to fight you. If you're like a Wing Chun master, like a literal retard, like not just like a, the person I call retards all the time on Twitter, but like an actual retard. Like it's like fighting like a actual retarded person trying to fight a Wing Chun master, and the Wing Chun master's like, I don't even know what you're trying to do here. Course 6 Beaver, are you are you an unk or some shit? Oh man. Anyway, but yeah, then he tried to diss Ed Choi because you know what? They're all kind of like him, Ryan and fucking Zhang Yu and fucking Mike Kim. They're all in their little fucking chat groups. I know they're like trying to how can we fuck up Doug this time? How do we get back at Doug this time? Oh, I know. He's kind of friends with Ed Choi. I know because Mike Kim was like, oh, Ed Choi doesn't talk to me anymore, so he must be aligned with Doug Kim or whatever. This is going on in their minds, right? It's like, oh, I know. Oh, look at him. Oh, Ed Choi made this cringe video. Oh no, we're gonna get back at Doug by getting Ed Choi. And I'm like, bro, like, first of all, did you see KTSC where I'm fucking lambasting Ed all the time? Do you see that shit? Like, yeah, we're friends, but it's not like I agree with any of his positions politically. And then B, he has 500K followers, you dumb shit. Like, what do you think is going to happen when he lays the hammer down? Oh, my God. That was just like, again, a retarded person fighting a Wing Chun master. I'm just kind of like, all right. And then instantly after Ed says it, like, they go fucking flying all these directions. They're like, ah! Oh man, that was entertaining, guys. I'm not gonna lie, that was entertaining. But the Mike Kim drama, oof. I'm not even involved in that one. I'm not even involved in that one, my friends. Oh man, it's just kind of like, ooh, the consequences of your own actions coming back to bite you. I mean, like, if you're a manipulative sociopath who's also a narcissist, who's also never done anything with your life, and a nepo baby who thinks you're fucking Kim Il-sung, yeah, that's actually what he said to me. I call myself Kim Il-sung, but I'm like a fucking, I am the most cynical, sarcastic person and self-critical person to myself. Like I do not think I am Kim Il Sung. I did not grow up 19-year-old in the fucking Manchurian, winters and negative 40-degree weather killing Japanese people. That was not me. I wholly do not think that I am Kim Il Sung. I just do that as a fucking LARP. Mainly to piss off people like Yang Yu, whatever, who actually do that shit and take it seriously. Like, I call myself all this shit to, like, troll people. But Mike Kim, he was like, oh, I'm the Kim Il Sung. And I was like, what? Because, like, apparently Feds, like, visited him once or whatever, and he thinks, like, he's this Kim Il Sung type character in America now. I'm like, all right. And he does this thing where he tries to, like, make it seem like he's this reasonable one. But what he's really doing is he's talking shit about everyone to everyone else. Like, he was talking shit about me to Ed, and he was talking shit to Ed about me. He was probably talking shit about everyone else to whoever he's trying to, ingratiate himself into. And that's how he fucking operates. That's how this fucking retard operates. And he thinks he's such a smooth operator. But he's so fucking retarded. Like, I'm sorry, you're a fat fuck. And my sister's theory on fat people is correct. You're just lazy and you're entitled. And you don't even have the discipline to fucking lose weight. So you have no fucking actual skills in life. Because you have no discipline, And so, I'm just watching this shit. And then they're trying to come at me. And so I'm like, all right. You want to play like that? You guys want to play like that? You guys actually think that your shit's gonna work anymore? You think that you played a nice game before, you got me trusting you a little bit in the past few years, but now I am on notice, and when I am on notice, I do not miss a single fucking thing. That was your only edge by pretending to not be hostile to me. But once I figured it out, once I figured you all fuckers were working together, you done fucked with the wrong autistic Korean dude. That's for fucking sure. And then you poked the bear on another Korean autistic person who's even more vindictive than me. And I'm like, that was not smart. That was not a smart move, guys. You're not very smart. You guys are not very smart people. Oh, man. But, yeah, so I guess, hopefully, whoever follows me on Twitter, I hope you've enjoyed the show. I'll probably, next year, when he's still on my ass for, all this shit, it doesn't even fucking matter anymore. That's the thing. It's like, if I were Ryan, I'd be like, why do I care about this shit? I got a family, or apparently, that I care about, that I, obviously don't, but, apparently I got a family that I care about, and apparently I'm doing all this shit in poker, going all these fancy places and being this food blogger or whatever that I'm trying to be. Why do I care about this random communist online who's why is this fucking following me all the time? I'd just be like, bro, it's been 5 years. Like, are you sure you're not the homosexual? Like, I have never been this obsessed with a dude in my life. That's for fucking sure. You're calling me gay. I'm like, bro, you're the guy who's obsessed with a dude for the past 5 years. And I know that you got that gay shit because Mike Kim said that too, apparently. Yeah, that's right, Mike Kim. I know all about that shit now, so I know exactly how you fucking think. Because you're psycho ass. Yeah, if you don't want me to say anymore, you better shut the fuck up, you fat fuck. Because, yeah, I can fucking bury you. So watch your fucking mouth, bitch. That was from Mike Kim, in case you didn't know. But, at the end of the day, both of you two, Mike, Kim, Ryan, you guys were just retarded cat paws. You know, it's obvious that Zhang was pulling the strings here this entire time too. You guys think that you're doing things on your own fucking volition? No, Zhang Yu's using your own fucking hatred for me to do his dirty work for him. You guys are so retarded. You can't even see that. You think you're like, oh, I'm Kim Il-sung, or I'm this, like good poker player or whatever. And I'm like, man, okay. I mean, I guess if that's how you want to live your 40s, pathetic 40s, I guess. Why don't Mike Kim? I heard business is not really doing that well in Radio Korea. You might want to focus on that a little bit more instead of trying to do shit, start shit with me. But you do you, I guess. You do you. You, I guess, promote homophobic announcers on KTSC, I guess, who say shit that was, banned in the fucking 90s. Conversion therapy works, guys. Like you should ban her for being retarded. Like, who says that shit in the fucking 2020s? Like, that's not even, like, to me, that's offensive that you would let someone that retarded on. But I guess that's what you need because you're retarded yourself and you don't have any good people for content. Anyway, have you got a letterboxed? No, I do not have a letterboxed. Ghostface, I don't know Ghostface actually, so I don't know about him. Tupac was getting his ass rammed regularly. Really? All right then. Oh yeah, no, I am not living in Washington Heights, man. That is like fucking Mordor. That is the Mordor place. Nothing new. A lot just happened so fast. Everything is so fast. He did another video today. I'm an unk. 52. I'm also an unk. 42. It's PMC bubble lid shit show save for a few based MR Asian. What's PMC bubble lid? What's PMC? Oh. Yeah. Basically me. I'm the based MR Asian. I'm not really. Yeah, I didn't think you were, Andrew. You're Chinese, right? KTS drama, the gift that keeps on giving. Exactly. I don't know for sure if Ed's autistic, but he's at least on some neurodivergent. I'm pretty sure. Hello, are you Chinese, Ivan Zuzu? No, I am not Chinese, Ivan Zuzu. That's on the Twitch stream. Somebody asking me. I am Korean American. Thank you very much. Gaytistic. The four of them seemed so friendly when Ryan Yu was a guest. He even bought them gifts from Korea. Right? Pretty snaky of Ryan to randomly turn on Ed. We old lol. Communist Korean. That's the other thing too. I'm just kind of like, bro, you can say all the shit you want about me or whatever, but why are you trying to make Ed catch strays? Like, what? Because you want, because like the thing I noticed about that is Zhang Yu retweeted his thing, so it's obviously that we're all in fucking cahoots together trying to like attack me or whatever, and I'm just sitting back and I'll be like, you sure about that? .gif, sure about that? You think that's a good move? Oh man, When Ed put that up, he backpedaled so fast. He was like fucking like, Mario Kart fucking backpedaling with like a blue shell like aimed right at his face. And I'm just kind of like, man, he folded so fast. It was fucking hilarious. It was like, it showed, Ryan tries to give off this impression that he's above it all. He doesn't care about how he looks or whatever. He folded so fucking fast. I was like, I would have been like, all right, that's pretty good. If you stuck to your fucking guns and be like, no, you're a fucking little bitch, whatever, whatever. I would have been like, all right, you got a little fight in you. I like that. Exactly, Asian movie. He deleted his tweet. I'm like, be proud of what you did, buddy. Be proud of what you did. And then he made this whole apology tweet. And then he deleted that too. I was like, oh my God. Bro. The only saving grace you got in this whole escapade is that nobody cares that you exist. So nobody saw you doing any of that shit. But you still cared so much. You thought enough people were watching to care enough to delete and then make an apology tweet and then delete that. Like, bro, what are you doing, man? It's so fucking hilarious. Oh, man. Anyway, again, I kind of actually feel bad even talking about it. It does kind of feel like I'm, a Wing Chun master beating up on a retarded person. So, I guess I'll stop here for Oh, man. I hope you guys are enjoying the stream. I hope I'm not being too mean. Am I being too mean? North or South Korean? I don't know, Ivan Zuzu. Do you know how the Hart-Celler Act works in 1965? Do you know if they allow immigration of North Koreans directly to America? I don't know. Maybe you should check the laws in South Korea and America and immigration laws in North Korea and see if that all kind of logics out. Not mean enough. You know what my sister says to me all the time? When I'm going on rants and shit. When I'm saying shit. When I'm talking my shit. Sometimes she likes it. Because she's like, oh, at least you're not talking about me. You're talking about someone else, so I can just enjoy this rant. That's not about me. But then other times she's like, be nice. Be nice. Be nice. But she never says you're wrong. She never says you're wrong, Doug. No, that's not it. No, you got it all wrong. She says, be nice. Because deep down, she knows I'm right. I'm never wrong. It's only I'm mean. I'm too mean. I'm too crass. I'm like Stalin, right? Lenin said, you're a little too rude, Stalin. And it was like, so what? I am rude. I am a rude man. I am Russian. That's how I am. I am Joseph Stalin. When people are retarded, I just make them realize how retarded they are and try to correct their retardation. That's what I do because I am Joseph Stalin. I am ruler of Soviet Union. I must crush the Nazis. I cannot be soft as bitch. That's how I imagine Stalin being to his critics. Not that I don't think he knew. I don't think he knows any English. But if that's the Georgian Joseph Stalin, I'm gonna be like, I am Joseph Stalin. I don't even know what the Russian accent sounds like in Georgian or the Georgian or Russian English accent. But I'm just going to make it up for the sake of this character. Come on, what the fuck, man? Stop, Mossad, stop. But yeah, he was just kind of like, yeah. When the fucking Lenin's testament, which may or may not even be real, said Stalin's kind of too rude. Sometimes you got to be rude. You know why why Lenin said that though? He actually wasn't all up there at that point because he got a bunch of strokes and shit. He wasn't healthy. So I think like his first stroke was, 2022, possibly. And then he was pretty much incapacitated all of 2023. I mean, 1922. 1923, he was pretty much done. And then 1924, he died in January. But one of the reasons Stalin was rude to Krupskaya, his wife, was basically his doctor, Lenin's doctor, was like, do not talk about politics at all. Do not do anything. Do not make any mental stress. And then Krupskaya kept fucking talking to him about politics. And Stalin was like, what the fuck are you doing, you dumb bitch? What the fuck are you doing, you dumb bitch? You're not supposed to talk to Lenin. He is on doctor's orders not to talk to anyone, you stupid dumb bitch. And then Krupskaya is like a dumb bitch. He's like, Lenin. Stalin called me a dumb bitch. How can you let this madman be part of the general secretary of our government? He is rude to me. He is mean to me. Be your lover, your one and only wife. Not to mention the French woman you may have had an affair with 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Don't mention that. But I am your one and only wife. You must defend me from this mean man Stalin, who's telling me to fuck off. And Lenin, he's got a couple strokes in the brain. He's like, yo, Stalin. It's just going to be the same fucking Russian accent every time. Yo, Stalin, what are you... It's getting worse, too. What are you doing? You are mean to my wife. You must be very nice to her if you want to stay general secretary until this fake document that Trotsky is going to make up and make him the general secretary. And anyway, that's basically me. I'm just Stalin, It's like sometimes the truth needs to be said. Sometimes the truth, did you immigrate here? Oh my God, Ivan Zuzu, are you fucking serious right now, bro? My parents immigrated here in 1980, I believe, or 1981, something like that. And I was born in the United States. So I am a naturalized citizen of the United States of America. All right? So I am neither North or South Korean. I'm actually American by nationality. You like that? Just like everyone else, every white person here who wasn't from here originally. They came over from the fucking Europe around 400 years ago or less. And just like they're Americans, I'm American too. So unless you want to change the 20-something amendment, whatever the amendment is, then go fuck yourself. Doug can be U.S. president. That is correct. Though I don't think I ever would want to be. Do they have the new anti-Semite of the month? When I saw James Lee getting the anti-Semite of the month, I was just kind of like, man, I am slacking. How did I not get up there? I need to pump those numbers up. How am I? Any thoughts about James Lee? Well, James Lee, he's actually friends with, who is he? He's friends with Matt Kim. And so I think Matt Kim told me about it because I wanted to talk to him about some other project about the LA fires. But I'm assuming that because of all this craziness with breaking points or whatever it is, that he just probably got lost in the mix. So I don't want to bother him now because I know there's a lot of transition shit. So I'm not going to but yes, I kind of obviously am aware of, okay, Ivan Zuzu, I don't care what you think anymore. So how about, no, I don't want to pin that. Why did I fucking pin that? I don't know how this fucking twin fucking shit works. How about ban? There you go. That's what I think of Robert E. Lee. I think you're fucking annoying me, so I'm just gonna ban you. That's how we do things on the Yellow Knight podcast. You annoy me, you're banned. This is not a democracy. This is dictatorship of the proletariat of me. I am the working class of this channel. So this is dictatorship of my channel. Anyway, can't believe James Lee lasted that long on White Trash Lib Skid Mark Jeet show. Yeah, I don't even know what Breaking Points really is about. Hope he does well on his new thing. I knew he's doing independent stuff now. Always good to see an Asian brother moving on up in society. He's also a former ex-consultant, I believe. So we got that going on. Wish nothing but, also he's, talking about Israel, right? That's the big thing. If you're anti-imperialist, you're anti-Zionist. That's all you need for me to be on board, right? Doug can be U.S. Lol Doug. What am I lolling about? How did Medea Benjamin not get anti-Semite of the year? I don't even know who Medea Benjamin is. See, this is how I'm not really like that terminally online, to be honest. I mean, I am, but I'm not in a way, because I've been trying to like work all this shit out, and my reading stuff has slowed because I'm working now on the video hardcore. But I'm still trying to like read. I've been reading this actually. I don't know if you guys heard of The Essence of Christianity by Ludwig Feuerbach. This is actually part of the Marxist tradition. This is kind of like, this was written in 1840. One of my theses is that it might have been influenced by Arthur Schopenhauer, but I can't prove it. But there are some dominoes that suggest that it might at least been indirectly influenced by it. But it's not really about the will and representation. It's about how religions come to be. So Feuerbach is not a traditional philosopher. He didn't start as a philosophy person. I think he started as somewhat of a theologian slash like religion kind of like researcher, blah blah blah. But this is kind of interesting. It's fascinating. It's kind of like, where did God come from is basically the big idea of the book. And he's the basic premise is that we created God instead of the other way around. And I read the first 2 chapters, or like basically first 10% or so, maybe the first 15. But it makes a pretty compelling argument so far. Not that I, obviously I'm somewhat still Christian leaning, but I'm like, oh, okay, I can kind of like see. I don't agree with the premises, but I can see the interesting logic behind if you do accept the premises. And so I've been reading it. It's pretty interesting, but it's also important because Karl Marx, this is how he gets from Hegelian dialectics of the absolute spirit and turns it into the material conditions of society. So it's kind of like I'm reading it for my Marxist education as well, but it's also kind of like interesting because I've been thinking about a lot about religion, about philosophy in the past year, and it's kind of like tying it all together, because I think this is also, I think it might have influenced, let me just check that. I think it might have influenced Nietzsche. Oh. Yeah, I put the band hammer on it. Yeah, see, Ludwig Feuerbach had a significant and well-documented influence on Friedrich Nietzsche, particularly in Nietzsche's early and middle periods. So you know how I'm tracing it from Kant, right? I'm tracing the German idealism from Kant. Kant is where, like, that's the beginning of liberalism, in my opinion, as like a solid sort of thing. Because before Kant, it was kind of like, well, do we believe in God or do we believe in the king? Like, what are these power structures? And he kind of like unites it a little bit into this liberal superstructure with his critiques. And then, as we know, Hegel goes into a different direction. It goes a little bit more radical. He doesn't go into like politics specifically, but that's where Marxism comes out of, right? And then Schopenhauer goes in the other direction. He says, yeah, that's all fucking bullshit. We need to go back to fascism, basically, because these people, these lower people are complaining too much and they need to be put in their place. So we actually need aristocracy. So they're kind of going in divergent directions from Kant. But then they kind of go in this, like, Feuerbach almost kind of like brings those two together again by saying God is something we created. And so in again, it splits off again into Marx and Nietzsche. Nietzsche is like, yeah, God is something we created, but actually, you can create yourself as God. That's what Nietzsche says, right? You can create the Übermensch out of your own rational existence and all that stuff. And then Marx is like, yeah, that shit's for the birds. It's all about the material conditions, yo. It's all about history. It's all about, technology. It's all about science and the immortal science of Marxism, Leninism, right? So it's kind of like I almost see Feuerbach as being another uniting touch point of Kant, of the two sort of diametrically opposing philosophies. David Tate, did you really type "what's cunt"? I did. Whatever I said, how did you get "cunt" from? Oh God, I'm gonna get banned from. Hope I don't get banned from YouTube. Kant, K-A-N-T, Immanuel Kant. Immanuel Kant is a famous philosopher in the Enlightenment period. He's probably the most famous philosopher since Aristotle. I guess Descartes was important because he kind of started the whole idealism movement. But yeah, Kant was basically the guy in philosophy in the past 300 years. That both, obviously Schopenhauer and Hegel respected. And so that's kind of like an interesting point of departure for both. So that's kind of like what I'm trying to research. I'm also reading Schopenhauer's second volume of Peregna. That's interesting. Finished another book about Lenin. I'll write a review about that later. I got this book, Nazi Propaganda. The reason this is interesting is because it cost me $50 to buy it. Way cheap. And it's one of those fucking books that Amazon just prints whenever you order it. So I was like, some motherfucking like IP company just made $1 billion off me because of my need for physical copies. But at the same time, I don't know if I could find this on archive.org. So I find some rare books there. I don't think I could find it, but this is important. I mean, like the very fact that it cost me that much, I'm like, there's got to be some important shit in there. And so I'm going to read that. I'm still reading the Red Book, reading another Nazi book. Still doing research, even though I'm trying to finish this thing. Just trying to read, just kind of trying to keep doing that. And so that's what's going on. Did I go over everything I wanted to talk about today? Talked about the Kate. I guess I'm just like, I don't really care anymore. And maybe that's another reason I'm leaving. I'm just kind of like, I don't need this retarded drama. Like these fucking 40-year-old retards. I know I'm 40, 42. But these fucking Gen X or Gen X adjacent type retards. You know what it is? Gen X, especially like Asian American men and especially Korean American men, I feel like they've never quite fully come to grips with their identity issues, their dual identity issues, as being both Korean and American. Obviously they had to really LARP hard on the American part for the longest time. And now that it's becoming kind of cool or acceptable to be Korean, now they're like, oh, see, well, I knew all the language the entire, I know all this stuff. They're trying to like be gatekeepery now, but it just comes off as like try hard and inauthentic. And all these motherfuckers that hate me, there's very common factors to these people. They're actually typically men. Because Asian American women who try it with me early on, they realize that is a battle they cannot win. I have all the facts. They have no facts. They quit very early. But these men, they think they could keep going at me because they think, okay, so here's the characters. So they're usually Korean, actually. You'd be surprised. I mean, they're either Korean or they're Taiwanese. All right, these are the characteristics. They're men. They're either Korean or Taiwanese because these are the two that are the most westernized in Asian diaspora, right? Or they're most successful at westernizing themselves. So they know the lay of the land in both in America really well, as I do, as do I, except I know it even better than any of them combined, and they hate that about me, right? So they're men, they're Korean or Taiwanese. They're usually either my age or older, right? There are a lot of Gen X in this category. They have some sort of mental issue, whether it be some cluster B thing or just, neurodivergent in some sort of way. And they all have had issues with their dad. Like, across the fucking board. And when they see me, the thing is, I don't really have issues with my dad whatsoever. I think my dad's great. It was a little goofy, a little aloof, but at the end of the day, like, I think it's just we had this understanding with each other. Also, because we both see the craziness. Oh my God. I'm going to share this joke. I probably shouldn't, but it was too funny not to share. So, you know how I don't know if I've said this, but like, my mom's pretty, tiger mom, right? Or she's very like fucking restrictive and shit or whatever. But, like she was staying up till like 11 p.m., 12 p.m. until 12 at night, 12 a.m. to make sure I did my fucking violin practice, to make sure I did all my scales 5 times and, my arpeggios 3 times or whatever the fucking shit is. Like, oh, you did it only 4 times. You got to do it 5 times, like, and she would always threaten me like, oh, kurmo. And I was like, fine, I don't want to fucking eat that anyway. And that's why I'm skinny. No, just kidding. Anyway. So I would joke recently, because I'm learning about Hitler. I was like, oh, you're just a fascist. You're like Mussolini. You're like Hitler. And then one time, I'm just like joking, like this past Thanksgiving, I was like, oh, God, you're Hitler again. And then she was like, so what? I'm Hitler. And my dad turns to me and is like, we are the Jewish. We are the Jewish. Oh my God, I died. I could not stop laughing. And for those of you who are not Korean, keep in mind, Asian people don't really care about Hitler that much because we don't really know what Hitler was because we weren't propagandized about Hitler ever. So like they know who Hitler is, obviously. Like everyone knows who Hitler is, but it wasn't like sensationalized as it was in the West, right? So my dad has like such dark, like that's where I get my humor from. That's where I get my dark humor from. So I actually had a really good relationship with my dad, and even at the end of the day, despite my mom's craziness, that's where I get my craziness. Like, so I get it. I understand why she is the way she is. I'm kind of like a combination of the two personality wise. Like my mom's tenacity, like never bend up to what you think is unjust. And so I understand why mom is the way she is. She grew up in, pretty tough. They both did, right? They grew up in post-war Korea. So I don't hold anything that they do against me, like personally. I just want to try to like improve their lives, right? So I just joke or whatever here and there. But we had a lot of issues, right? But we got over them. We talked them through. We figured shit out. There are no like residual bad feelings about anything. Kind of like, because my sister and I, we're also kind of like, ironically enough, because my mom was so obstinate, we became so obstinate. And so we forced the issue. Like, unlike a lot of Korean people who want to hide or run from their feelings and not deal with their emotional problems until like they're like 50 or 6 years old and their parents are dead and then it's too late, right? We dealt with that shit. We made them deal with it in our teens and our 20s and our 30s. Like, we ironed all that shit out. We broke them. We broke them as much as they broke us. So we kind of got over it. So for me, I don't have any of those hangups in my life about my identity, because I also kind of like dealt with that shit, or kind of like, yeah, figured it out in my teens and my 20s, through my art, through my, stuff like music, doing music and stuff like that in my teens and my 20s, and doing my acting and stuff like that, and figuring out, oh, this is why the industry is what it is, and this is why racism exists. I did all that unpacking, right? Like, that was my job. That was my literal fucking job for like 10 years, in like analyzing the industry and analyzing propaganda. And so I actually don't care now. Since 2021, I had that rough time in New York I was talking about. I had a lot of ego deaths. I've also had ego deaths when, I took LSD like 10 years ago, And so I've had a lot of killing myself in terms of my ego, that like, I don't actually really care when people insult me, because I probably said stuff many times worse to myself. And so when people like insult me, I'm just kind of like even like, so for example, like I think I mentioned this before, but like when Zhang Yu was trying to like insult me, he was like, well, my music video is gonna do so much better than your TV show. This was 2022. I had already kissed Hollywood goodbye by like 2019, 3 years before, and I was like, oh, so that's what you care about. You want to be famous. You want to be a famous rapper. That's what you really care about, because otherwise, why would you even bring that up? Because I don't care about that shit. I know Hollywood's a fucking imperialist propaganda machine. Why would I care that they didn't accept me? That's the whole reason why I made that show to begin with. And I was like, why do you think I made that show? I'm trying to point out that Hollywood is this propaganda imperialist thing, even before I even knew what imperialist propaganda was. Like, I already like intuitively knew that. And it just goes to show, like, people like that, like people like Zhang Yu, people like Ryan, people like Mike Kim, they have all these unresolved issues that stem from probably their daddy issues, right? And, because it's just kind of like, when you have daddy issues, you try to compensate by saying, oh, because I wasn't accepted by my parents or whatever, I'm going to be accepted by society by being great. I'm going to do something great to be accepted by society and whatever. And so that's what drives them. They acquire narcissism, right, as a defense mechanism. The narcissism develops as a defense mechanism for not being accepted by their dad. So they have to, like, their identity is everything to them, because if you attack their identity, now you're attacking their own sense of self-worth, because they were never truly accepted by their parents. And so they try to compensate the entire time by saying, like, see, I'm such a big deal. I'm a big deal now. You guys should listen to me. You know, you're not the boss of me now. You're not the boss of me. You know, it's just kind of like, see, I proved it, Dad. You know, it's kind of like Steve Jobs. When you read about Steve Jobs, he talks about that too. Like, or LeBron James, you know, like, you know, how he's never going to accept his dad or some shit like that. They all have these, it's their, like, unresolved issues that drives them forward. And so when you attack their identity, the thing that they're driven, that they've worked on or whatever, they get all flustered because they're like, you're attacking my very, very existence, my very sense of self-worth, you know. And then they think that because they value that so much, that I value that so much. But then they don't realize I don't have the same hangups. I'm just kind of like, no matter what I do, my dad's cool with whatever. He's like fucking like, oh yeah, made the final table. That's cool. Oh, you're a communist now? I mean, I'm not really on board with that, but you know, I'm kind of sick and old now, so whatever. You know, it's not like, yeah, my dad's anti-communist, but it was just kind of like, oh, you should actually. He was the one that came up with my name. Because I was like, oh, I'm Kim Il-sung, because like Kim Il-sung, It's like, oh, it might sound better if you said Kim Chil-sung, because it's like Kim Il, you know, it rhymes. So it was like, oh, you're right. That's actually a better idea. And so it's just kind of funny because, like, you know, Ryan keeps bringing or trying to say that I'm like, you know, sons of like Korean, like Japanese collaborators or a Japanese collaborating family, because he thinks. That's the funny part, because he thinks that affects me. Like, even if it was true, it wouldn't even affect me, because like I don't value that like part of my like identity or whatever. That doesn't define who I am. Like, it's just like funny because like, hey, it's not even true. As I've said many times, there's no proof whatsoever. He's just blowing smoke. And B, I'm just kind of like, this is what I talk about all the time in my, you know, Art of Internet War. I'm just kind of like, if they attack you with something that you know about yourself not to be even like remotely true, this actually reveals what they value and what they're insecure about. And so you need to attack that accordingly. And I did, and it fucking got, and now he's crashing out about me for 5 years. Anyway, you know, it's just funny because, like, you know what I'm like? Truly, you know, I kind of say that I'm like LARPing as the Batman or the Dark Knight or whatever, but I'm actually like the Joker. You know, that's that scene in the interrogation room when Batman is like realizing, oh, the Joker is the one that kidnapped Rachel and Harvey Dent. And now he's trying to beat it out. I'm like, where's Rachel? Where's Rachel? And then Joker's just laughing at him. I'm going to tell you, and that's the point. You're going to have to choose. Like, it's all part of the plan. It's all, they're trying to like punch me in the face. Be like, where's Rachel? Where's my ex-girlfriend? Where's my daddy issue? And I'm like, I'm going to tell you. And that's the point. I'm going to psychologically dissect you. And that's the point. That's the point. That's the point. Oh, man. Are you guys silent? Do you guys leave because I was boring? I guess maybe I was boring, you guys. I don't know if you guys are silent. Feel the same with Gen X Korean dudes. Just describe the entire cast of KTSC. I mean, I'm sorry for having a stable, I guess like that's rare. In Korean society, it's rare to have like a stable, relatively stable. I'm not going to say that it was like this peachy keen, like perfect experience either, right? You know, my parents have their own faults here and there, but we ironed them out. Think about most Korean families, especially Korean American, especially Gen X Korean Korean Americans and their parents, they push that shit down. They push that shit down. They keep pushing it down, and they pretend it doesn't exist. And they're like, I'm just gonna be a tough man. I gotta be an alpha male. Can't talk about my feelings. Can't cry. Can't show them my tears. Can't show them ultima. You know, and then it just comes out when the Joker comes. When the Joker comes. I'm like the Green Goblin at the end of, that last Spider-Man when he's just like punching him in the face. I'm like, when the Joker comes, those feelings just come out like a gusher and you can't control yourself. And I'm like, that's funny. Because I'm the Joker. I'm the Joker. Why do you... It's like, why do you want to kill me? I don't want to kill you. What would I do without you? Go back to ripping off mob dealers? No. You're just too much fun. Oh, Ultima Raffle. Exactly. Ultima. Guess what? I ordered a lot when I was a kid. I was picked on a lot when I was a kid. I was bullied a lot. I cried a lot. Not going to lie. But my parents didn't do the Urjima thing to me, I guess. I guess they were more progressive back then than I realized. Or, yeah. I try not to, obviously, uro in public, obviously, if I can help it. But there are times when I'm just like, it's funny, the times that I cry, like, more recently, like in the past, in my adult life, I cry when I feel like there's an injustice that's being done and I can't correct it, or I'm not allowed to correct it, or I'm like, this is injustice, I'm not like actually crying about like, so something bad happened to me. Something, I'm going to cry because like I lost $2 million this year. I barely like shed a tear, right? Oh man, did I? Oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that out loud. Anyway, I won't go into detail about that. But that's the sick part. I was like, is there something wrong with me? I didn't even shed a tear about that. But I cry about when I feel like there's an injustice that needs to be corrected, and I can't correct this injustice. But yeah. See, every Korean parents did that, and I'm sure my mom did that too. But it would be over stupid shit that I shouldn't Ujima really over. But like when I was really distressed, and she knew it was like a real emotional issue. She might make fun of it a little bit, but she would let it happen. And I think like also because of my somewhat emo phase when I was in high school, because my mom is somewhat like of a musician herself, or she likes to sing and she likes to play music. So, and she forced me to do that shit with violin, right? And so when she saw me like kind of, singing and kind of getting into that stuff in high school, I think she, understood where the what is it? The je ne sais quoi, the emo-ness, the feels, the emotion, that it wasn't just this like, oh, I'm sad, but it was this very like existential, nihilistic, what is the meaning of life, sadness, that she was like, oh yeah, that's true. Life does kind of, because I feel like we're all kind of suicidal in my family. Like not to the point where we're actually going to do something about it, but more to the point where it's like, I feel like my parents are kind of like, It's been a good run. If I checked out tomorrow, I guess it wouldn't be that bad. I feel like they're that kind of suicidal, and I'm kind of like have a little bit of that too, but not enough to actually do it. So again, if I ever caught killing myself, remember the notarized 3 notes of notary videotape. Didn't do it. The CIA did it. Mossad did it. 100%. Don't use this as remember to refer back to this. I will not actually suicidal. Fuck you, CIA. You're not using that clip. Anyway. All right. I think it's been a couple hours. Does anyone have any other questions before I peace out? I think I covered whatever people wanted me to cover today, right? Oh. I guess I can talk about the Simu thing a little bit. Actually, it's just kind of like, oh man. I'm just kind of like, yeah, like somebody mentioned before, the key is to make your own shit and make that sustainable. And the thing is, like, I know for a fact, I know people where it's just kind of like, you had all this opportunity, like let's say, let's back up, right? When did the announcement happen that you were going to be Shang-Chi? That happened 2019. And then you were already counting your fucking chickens before any of them hatched. You were doing fucking victory laps like you had won the Super Bowl when all you did was make the playoffs, right? You didn't fucking win the Super Bowl yet, buddy. You need to fucking play the playoffs and do well in the fucking playoffs, and then maybe maybe now you're in the show. But you did good enough. You got into the playoffs. But now you gotta perform, right? You gotta make hay while the sun is shining, so to speak. And to his credit, he was serviceable in Shang-Chi. I'm not gonna deny him that. Especially in a sea of garbage of Phase 4. So you were kind of like one of the right spots in a sea of garbage. And because of that, your star was riding high. You had all these places coming up to you, being like, throwing money at you. You were the next hot thing. And what did you do? What did you do with all that opportunity? You just let it sit. You thought those deals were going to be on the table forever. You thought you'd made it. You thought you'd won the Super Bowl. You just made it to this next round, the AFC Championship or whatever it is. I don't even know football. Sorry, the analogy is kind of falling apart. I don't know football that well. You made it to whatever the next round is, but you didn't even show up to the next round game. You just let that game go. And now it's what? 2025? 4 years after Shang-Chi? It's not looking good. It's not looking good. It's not looking good for Shang-Chi. Thing is, it's not looking good for fucking Marvel right now. So you thought Marvel was going to be gangbusters for forever, which it almost immediately wasn't after Phase 4. So you should have, the warning bell should have gone off long ass time ago when you saw Phase 4 or Phase 5 floundering. So you should have been like, oh shit, maybe I should kind of secure something. But you were like, oh no, I'm just gonna be on Barbie and I guess now that makes up for everything. And I know for a fact you had some deals on the table to get stuff done, get stuff produced, but you spent too much time. When that happened, when Shang-Chi happened, that's the thing. We were kind of like, I wasn't gonna talk about this before, but I figure what the hell. I don't give a fuck mode. So whatever. Age Asian American YouTube snark, you can come to me for all the tea. But, you know, we were kind of not friends, not boys or anything like that, but we hung out. I helped him out with a couple of auditions here and there when he came to LA in 2018. So we knew each other. We had dinner before and just we hung out. And after 2019 happened, after the announcement happened, it was all ghosted. I was ghosted. I was like, oh, okay. I was just saying, like, you know what? Let him have, let him have victory lap, it's cool. Just he's having, he's having the time of his life. Let him, whatever. And then one victory lap turned into 2, turned into 4, turned into a fucking marathon before the fucking movie is even out. And I'm like, bro, I was done with him. By 2020, 2021, I was like, bro's fucking garbage, yo. He's like a garbage human, like whatever. I don't fucking give a shit anymore. But again, I didn't even care enough to like talk shit about him publicly until now, I guess. When it's already irrelevant, right? So I don't fucking care. But then it's just kind of like every time he opened his mouth on social media, like if I was your friend, even if I was your friend back then, still your friend, I'd be like, bro, what are you doing? Just shut your mouth, get the bag, secure the bag, secure more bags, and keep shutting the fuck up. Do not speak. Do not talk to the public. And there's nothing you can say to the public that will improve your position. So just sit down, do what the Marvel overlords tell you to do. Do what Disney tells you to do. Do not say anything back. Just keep the fucking train going. But no, you just had to say all this shit all the time. And then I guess like, in the 2021, it's immediately in 2022, 2023, the couple of years after Shang-Chi, you got a pass, right? You got the grace period. And, you thought you were untouchable. And then the whole industry is imploding right now. In 2024, like 2023, 2024, like shit is fucking deteriorating by the second. Wokeonomics is dead, right? Nobody fucking cares about woke anymore. And nobody definitely cares about Asians anymore, because let's be real. All that shit was just fucking whitewashed Asian shit that nobody fucking cares about. Like 2018, Crazy Rich Asians. That was 7 years ago. Next year, it's going to be 8 years ago. Next year is just around the corner. It's going to be 8 years ago since Crazy Rich Asians. Where the fuck is Constance Wu now? Doing off Broadway shit. That was 2018. 7 years later, she's doing off Broadway shit. 2021, that was Shang-Chi. Where are you going to be in 3 years, buddy? You think you're doing anything different from Constance Wu back then? When she was shitting on the industry? Remember when she did that? In 2018? She thought she had it made. She thought she was big time. And in 2019, she shat all over fucking, what was it? Fresh Out the Boat. Oh, that was a mistake. Look at where she is now again. I saw Constance Wu doing fucking random indie films for this random Asian American film festival. Can you imagine that? Asian American film festivals. You know how fucking retarded those are. You know how bad that shit is. Are you fucking kidding me? You want to be another Constance Wu doing fucking, the Minnesota Asian American Film Festival? Are you kidding me? And then you had the audacity to shit talk Kim's Convenience too. And it's like, did you not see what happened to Constance Wu You know, she had one movie after, what was it? What was it? It was the one with Jennifer Lopez, right? I forgot what it was, but and she tried to fucking Hollywood that movie too. She tried to like buy these fucking like tickets to the front of the Oscars or some shit. I don't even fucking know. And where's she now? And then you did the exact same thing with Kim's Convenience. You shat all over the show, and all those other actors never had the season didn't renew. It was fucking you tanked the fucking show, and now they were out of the job. You're just cared about being this activist person or whatever. Like, oh, you're doing all, and then you write this fucking book, this memoir about how the CCP was so oppressive, and your parents had to run away from the CCP and come off to China, go out to Canada so you can get opportunity or whatever. And now that you realize you might not be doing so well, now you're going on red note. Now you're peeling the Chinese by after doing all that. Like, bro, do you have any shame at all? I'm just kind of like, and this is the stuff that's all public too. You know, I got a lot of shit that I'm not going to talk about because I'm not, you know, I'm not like that, right? I don't share stuff about people I know privately. Look, I don't share private stuff I know about people publicly unless they talk shit about me. Right? So kudos to you. You haven't done that. So all this shit I'm talking about is all public. Right? This is not stuff that is not, you know, known to or searchable online. I'm just pointing out the shit. I'm just pointing out all these unforced errors you've made. And it's just kind of like, bro, I even warned you about this too. You surrounded yourself with yes men, and I warned you about that. And I was like, you need to watch out because, but whatever, you know, whatever. It's not my thing anymore. I'm like, I'm not even in the fucking industry. What do I care? Right? I wouldn't bash you because I'm trying to get my own star up in the industry. I don't fucking give a shit. But it's just kind of like now you're coming out with this, oh, Asians aren't getting, you know, opportunities in the industry. I'm just kind of like, bro, nobody's getting opportunities. The whole industry is on fire right now. Like the fucking writer, like, there's a mass exodus going on right now. And for you to just like say like this shit about Asian actors not getting opportunities, it's just, now I'm thinking, oh, you die in Doomsday, don't you? That's the only conclusion I can think of now. Oh, it's over for you now. It's over for you. And that's your reaction. You gave away your cards. Because if you were in Shang-Chi 2, there is a good chance you would not have said any of that shit. But you're trying to be like, oh, I'm open for business, guys, and I need to shame you guys into giving me a job. And it's like, well, now you put a target on it. And again, you opened your mouth. And that was never a good idea. That was never a good idea when you opened your mouth about Kim's Convenience. That was never a good idea when you opened your mouth about anything about your career. You know, the most successful people in Hollywood typically just shut the fuck up and do their jobs. You know, even Rachel Zegler, see how that went, right? She opened her mouth and, you know, it's just, that's the game. That's Hollywood. You didn't come here to break the wheel. Hollywood does not like people that try to break the wheel. You know, even Marlon Brando, right? He tried to boycott the Oscars for this Indian guy or this Indian woman. And they were like, fuck you, Marlon Brando. Like, you think you think you're going to beat fucking Hollywood into submission? That's oof. And it's just kind of like, now that you said that during a time when Hollywood itself is in shambles, And now that wokenomics is over, now you just put a huge spotlight on yourself. And you better pray. You better pray that your show on NBC is going to be good. It better fucking knock the socks off. Because if it's not good, now you just shown a huge spotlight on yourself. And for what? For what? What was the reason? What possible benefit did you think that this was going to give you? Like, do you think that other Asian Americans are going to be like, yeah, he's right? No. Gen Z Asians, they've already moved on to not Hollywood shit. They've already moved on to K-pop demon hunters. They've already moved on to K-dramas or Chinese places or whatever, video games. Their favorite, I guess, OnlyFans or whatever the case may be. They're not fucking paying attention to Hollywood. No one's paying attention to Hollywood anymore. Nobody fucking cares about Hollywood. And so it's like, what did you think was going to happen? That's the main thing. People think, oh, like, I'm sure he's watching, or maybe if somebody tells him about this, he's going to be watching, like, oh, Doug's just jealous, and he just, like, because he never made it, blah, 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 and whatever. It's like, no, I would say this to you the entire time as someone who's trying to help you, actually, but you just didn't listen to anyone who wanted to help. And at this point, it's beyond help. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I try to help. I genuinely try to help. And, but I realized, just like Lenin realized in Poland, just like Mao realized in Cambodia and Malaysia and Indonesia, you can't save people who don't want to save themselves, right? You can't save people who don't want to save themselves. And so, yeah. Whatever. I don't care. I don't fucking care. I'm the Joker. I'm the fucking Joker, right? It's all part of the plan. Nobody panics, because it's all part of the plan. Anyway, I don't know. I spill a lot of I'm just like teabagging left and right. I'm just teabagging all over the place. Whatever. I'm just a crazy person. All right, let me just read these comments before I sign off, and you guys can ask any more questions before I do, but I'm going to sign off to read these. All right. Actually, I had a meeting with Seema's agent during the Clubhouse days. It was clear to me he didn't have the right mindset for longevity. Oh, when was that? Oh, that was Clubhouse days. That was like 2021, I think. That was even before Shang-Chi came out, I think. Shang-Chi was trash. How does Doug know everyone? How do I know everyone, indeed? I don't know. I mean, you know who I know? I also know Steven Yeun. Right? I don't know him that well now anymore. I haven't talked to him in real life in a long time. But what I always admired about Steven was he kept his damn mouth shut. He knew where his bread was buttered. He knew how to play the game too. And he just kept his mouth shut. He just let his work and his actions do the talking. And everyone still admires Steven Yeun in the Asian American community. Everyone thinks he's the GOAT. At least in Hollywood, or for Asian Americans. And just let the work speak for itself. And I was just like, that's a lot of what I talked to Steven Yeun in 2012. When I was first thinking about moving to LA. Kind of like picking his brain about the industry here and there. This was like a couple years after The Walking Dead. And yeah, he just said, I don't really fuck with the Asian American like identity stuff personally. Like, I think about it and whatever, but I'm not gonna really talk about it because I'm just gonna do what I need to do. And that really stuck with me. Obviously, I took a different route. I decided to tackle it head on but I feel like I did it in a way that was also entertaining. I think most people try to get on a soapbox in Hollywood and try to like preach about their identity issues, and it just comes off as like fucking self-serving and annoying, like crying in H Mart part 1 2 part 1 and 2, right? But me, I try to make it funny. I try to make it entertaining. I try to laugh at the system, but I also try to laugh at myself, right? That's always what I'm trying to do with whatever I create. I'm always trying to like I said, I'm trying to be the Joker, right? But yeah, but different paths for different strokes, or different strokes for different folks. Yeah. I talked to Steven Yeun. I also talked to other Asian actors all over. I know or know of most of the Asian American actors you've heard of. I've been here for 10, 12, 13 years. So that's kind of what I do. I figure out how the people made it. Try to prick their brains. I try to network, in my own way. I just don't brag about it, right? I just don't, because again, I don't care. I don't care what people think about me at the end of the day. I care about results. I care about trying to change reality the way I want it to look. And if that doesn't serve my interests, obviously I don't really care. See, I want it to be famous, but not because, obviously there is, I'm not going to say that there isn't ego involved in that at all. Obviously you want to look cool and whatever, and especially when you're younger. But at the end of the day, I saw fame as a tool to accomplish the goals that I wanted to accomplish. So not the end result in and of itself. And so that's kind of like, I think most people, if they're real ones, they can see that I'm a real one, if that makes sense, So I think the real ones, that's why they click, because they're like, oh, this guy's a real one, That's how I know everyone, I guess. That's the short answer. I honestly think they gave him a role precisely because he didn't put the build for ownership mentality, because that would actually be threatening gatekeepers. That's actually a good point, Illustrator. I mean, I think that's what they screen for in general, and this will sound like sour grapes, but I think that's a huge part of the reason Just Doug was never destined to succeed. It was never going to succeed in any permutation, unless it showed that I was a servile, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And that's just kind of like, because it's still the imperialist propaganda machine. They don't want people to disrupt the system. They want people that will do what they're told, because Hollywood, at the end of the day, not anymore, but back in the day, it was a cartel. They controlled the means of production, distribution, whatever, all the means. And if they didn't like you, could blacklist you, just like they did in the fucking 1947 with all the commies, right? That's what they're trying to do now with Paul Dano, or that's what Quentin Tarantino is trying to do now with Paul Dano. But right now, because everyone sees Zionists for the scum that they are, it's backfiring miserably, and everyone's like, no, we love Paul Dano. Actually, Paul Dano for life. This might actually like recharge his career. That's what he did after Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He wanted Paul Dano to this weird foot fetish scene, and then Paul Dano was like, I'm out. I ain't doing that weird shit for your spank bank. And then all of a sudden, Paul Dano's opportunities just evaporated. That was what, 2017, 2018? And then it wasn't until The Batman when he resurfaced, right? That was a few years later. He had all these opportunities lined up, and fucking Tarantino and his Zionist scumbag friends like blackballed him. And so if they can fucking get Paul Dano, What, you think Simu Liu, you're going to make a fucking difference? Come on, man. Come on, man. Let's be fucking real. Let's be fucking real. Okay? You signed up for the show. There was this quote. There was a comedian who said this quote. I forget who the comedian was, but he was like, most people in Hollywood, they don't realize that we're all the court jester. And, he was saying that I realize I'm the court jester, and I'm fine with that. I forget. I'm butchering the quote, I think, but that was like a very poignant quote. I was like, damn, that's good. That's good. And I've been like watching stuff like, my heroes in Hollywood, they all kind of like say a little bit of the same thing. Jim Carrey, if you ever watch Jim and Andy on Netflix, he reached the heights, right? He was the number one guy in Hollywood for over a decade. And yeah, you could see the depression that he still carried with him. And that's kind of like why I resonated with him in the first place. I had that same sort of depression with me as well. There was this thing where he said he was like, when he became a comedian, the reason he became a comedian is because his mother was dying of cancer. And he would just do funny things around her all the time just to make her laugh. And then he said later on, if there was just like one moment where I could just make my mom laugh and forget about the cancer for one moment, that was a win for me, right? And then when he got kind of like into the show business, he was just kind of like, oh man, like trying to figure out what it was that people wanted. And then I realized people want to watch movies and they want to be free from care. They want to forget about their problems for 2 hours. They want to forget that these problems exist. And they just want to have a good time. And so if they want to be free from care, I have to be the guy that is free from care. I have to be the guy on screen that is fearless, doesn't care about shit, doesn't care about like has any anxiety at all, and just be that like fucking comic or whatever. And then when I heard that, I just like replayed all the movies that he made that inspired me, and I was like, oh man, that's why, man, I'm like tearing up right now. That's why that resonated with me, because I had a lot of anxiety as a kid, not really fitting in. And that provided a way for me to be free from that care. That made me the Joker, right? That made me the Joker. And it's just kind of like, man, that's what Hollywood looks for. Hollywood looks for the people who do care too much. Because the people who care too much, the people with those daddy issues, the people with those unresolved daddy issues or whatever child issues where they don't feel validated or whatever, so they have to go to Hollywood to get their external validation they never got as a kid. That's who they go after. The narcissists. They actually like NPD people because they know NPD people feed off this thing and need this validation over and over again. And when you figure out what someone needs, it's easy to control them, because when you control that need or that control the source of the need, you are the one that is able to take it away or give it whenever necessary. And so, yeah, they probably did pick him because they saw that. They saw that need. And, yeah, he was feeling himself too much. Exactly. Constance Wu loved White D. Yeah, well, yeah. Wait, he wrote a memoir? Yeah, illustrious me. He wrote a memoir. Simu Liu is going to get bitch slapped by Doom. Mom called. Mom called. Constance Wu gave me bad vibes. Ken Jeong turned into most famous Asian guy. Lol. Yeah, most mainstream is some off. Hollywood's played by slopped. You'll constant a train runner in college. Wait, what? Is that true, Andrew? You constant a train runner in college? Well, yikes. Stephen Young is great. Glad he moved on Marvel. Stephen held Walking Dead up. Young is. Did you all see the Blacklist and Weinstein? Douglas, Road to Hell 46. What up, Road to Hell? I don't know who you are, but sup? Hollywood has so much scandals. I don't know why people want to be a part of it. Everyone wants to be a part of the show, man. Like I said, the NPDs, they feed off that, right? They need that. They're like the mentors. They need that validation. But yeah. Anyway, that's going to be it for me today. I'm going to sign off. See you guys again on Sunday. I think same time. I think. Don't quote me on that, but it should be 6:30. All right. See you guys.